Hello there, very good morning and welcome to Monday's edition on Newsline on a somewhat wet and overcast Monday morning. I'm Shane Silva and with me I've got Faraz Shaukat Ali. Good morning, Faraz.
Good morning, Shane.
And
the weather, before you can ask, is a bit like London.
All right then. Yesterday we were experiencing sunny skies and today we've got overcast conditions.
Indeed.
Indeed it is. All right, Faraz, hopefully the weather will change in the hours to come. But before that, let's take a look at the headlines making the papers this morning. Challenges lie ahead for national government. That is a statement by the President. Then also we have a couple of other stories in the Daily Mirror that go on to say UPFA group in opposition to meet Speaker, opposition MPs to complain to IPU, as well as a bribery commission to be dissolved within this week. And also, CBK denies MR's allegation about Indian help. Moving on to the Island newspaper, we have the statement made by the President once again being highlighted in this newspaper. President, a national government under threat. And the subcaption there says, from Rajapaksa loyalists and separatist forces, UNP's long march has proved victorious. That is a comment by the Prime Minister. Also, again, making a headline in this paper is CBK tears into MR, while NFF accuses Anura Champika of playing dumb on national security. Taking a look at Ceylon today, we have TNA versus TNA battle begins. And unity in diversity, there is a feature there between with the President and the Prime Minister, of course, at the UNP party, the convention there at Sirikota. Also, the PM due to visit India, and of course, mayhem if Mahinda return to power. That is a statement by former President Chandrika Kumaratunga. Also, going into the stories in detail. One-party government is like travelling in a three-wheeler on a bumpy road. Now, that's a statement given by the Prime Minister, Wickremesinghe. Faraz, what are your comments now? Already the national government has taken control. A few weeks have gone, and already we have the statement by the Prime Minister himself. What do you think about this, Faraz?
Shane, I'm not entirely sure if Ranil Wickremesinghe has ever been in a three-wheeler. We must investigate that bit. However, a one-party rule does not augur well for checks and balances, unless we have such a critical situation like a war situation or something like that, when the whole focus is on that. The whole problem, or the point here, is that the Rajapaksa administration were accused of having very little checks and balances, and hence the regime change and good governance. So this one-party state, or where the two major parties, this appears to be a problem to provide checks and balances. We need a robust opposition to keep the government on its toes and to pitch the people's concern constantly, not as and when they feel like it.
You mentioned for us that a robust opposition. Now, I'm just going to draw your attention to this headline in the Daily Mirror, which says that the UPFA group in the opposition is to meet the Speaker. Just to give our viewers a bit of an introduction to that story, it says former Western Province Chief Minister Prasanna Ranatunga, who was elected to Parliament on the United People's Freedom Alliance ticket, says he, along with others, would talk to Speaker Karu Jayasuriya about the opposition leadership post. For us, now that really doesn't reflect well for a robust and a very united opposition.
The point is that President Sirisena, in his role as leader of the SLFP, had written to the Speaker and indicated that they will not be seeking the opposition role. Quite rightly too, because they are supporting the UNP. However, within the UPFA combined, there are various people, like these 57, we are told, who supported the bid by a move to have Kumar Welgama as the leader of the opposition. Unfortunately, this group didn't quite tell the Speaker this. They wrote to the President instead and assumed that the President will fight their corner. Clearly, by the appointment of Mr. Sambandhan, that didn't work out.
Just to interrupt you there, Far, as well, of course we have the President, who is the executive, and then of course we have the Parliament, which is the legislature.
Yeah.
You mentioned the fact that these gentlemen had not in fact notified the Speaker, who is the head of the Parliament, but instead they had in fact notified the President. How would this look in terms of the three arms of governance, like the judiciary, the executive, and the Parliament? I mean,
Shen, there was a photograph during the parliamentary proceedings a couple of days ago, in which you saw that when the President addresses the Parliament as the President, and not as the Minister of Finance, okay, that's the point, he sat in the Speaker's pedestal. The Speaker comes down a notch down there. I think that answers your question. The President, the Parliament is there, but the President is there. Okay.
All right. Also on that same topic, Faraz, we have another story. Opposition MPs to complain to IPU. Of course, when I'm saying the IPU, it's the Inter-Parliamentary Union, which has its headquarters in Geneva. Now, this is a story with regards to the accommodation of defeated members to the national list. Faraz, what are your thoughts on that?
It's disgraceful that the national list has been used to accommodate people who have been defeated by the people at the election. So it's a bit like forcing them down their throats. If they wanted to do this, it shouldn't have been kind of a double whammy. Those people ought to have been told, if you're not going to win, or you think you're not going to win, don't contest. We'll put you on the national list. But here, it's like Kumar Sangakkara being caught out and then asking for another chance to bat in the same innings. It doesn't quite work like that. It's not quite cricket, and it's certainly not democracy. One of the basic fundamentals of democracy has been breached by the appointment of defeated candidates on the national list. It is not a question of legality, because the law apparently provides for that. It is a question of ethics. Is it ethically, is it morally correct? That's something the people of Sri Lanka would like to ponder.
Talking about ethics, morals, good governance, and on the same lines, we've got the Bribery Commission to be dissolved this week. I'm referring to another story also that's made the headlines in the Daily Mirror, where the commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption will be dissolved by the President, Maithripala Sirisena, under the powers vested by him under the 19th Amendment. Now, how would this augur, how would this look for the future for us, for the future of the country?
Well, that's all right, because the Constitutional Council is coming in, and they will be appointing independent members and so on. The problem is, I think that the poor Bribery Commission is inundated with work. So there we have a gap. And all sorts of, some perhaps spurious or claims that don't really hold up. But I think they're legally obliged to have a look at the whole lot. And we see the same problem with the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, the FCID. But the FCID, we feel, we had a guest here the other day, Mr. Pooja Surya, who complained bitterly about the actions of the Attorney General. And so there's a problem.
Interesting point there for us, because you mentioned the FCID, you mentioned the Presidential Commission to look into inquiries. We also have, in the second page of the Daily Mirror, oversight committees to be worked out. I'm referring to the Standing Orders Committee of the new Parliament, once set up, will work on the establishment of oversight committees to monitor policy implementation of ministers, which is, of course, a novel concept proposed by the new government. Now, the mandate of these committees will be to have the authority to monitor the formulation and implementation of policies by the respective ministries. Faraz, what are your thoughts on this? On another,
I don't want to be cynical, but Prime Minister Wickremesinghe is well known for appointing committees, and this, I hope, he's not going to get bogged down in all these committees and so on, because the progress of the country will be stymied. And, you know, it'll be like trying to do business or anything with one hand tied behind your back. The last government had monitoring MPs, and I'm wondering whether this is a slightly better version of that. If everybody is committed to clean government and so on, I don't know about all these committees. I'm a bit cynical. Okay.
Duly noted for us. Just under that story, we've got another story that says 45 state and deputy ministers to be sworn in tomorrow. For us, your thoughts on that?
It brings me nicely to this, okay? The entire revenue the government of Sri Lanka over the last 12 months in dollar terms is $9.5 billion. Apple Incorporated, one of the larger American companies, makes a quarterly profit of $10.7 billion. That's their profit in 3 months as opposed to our revenue of $9.5 billion. I rest my case. Do we need such a huge operation to run this government? And just because they are in a coalition, and it's not a national government, they claim that it is, but it's clearly a national coalition. And do they need such a large force to run the government? We have, after all, such a little speck. That's a question we might want to keep in mind. Yes, keep that in mind.
All right, Faraz, and just one more story that made the headlines. Of course, we have the President Maithripala Sirisena addressing the UNP party convention yesterday in Sirikotha. Has this type of situation happened before?
We may want to ask our guest about this, whether that is.
Indeed.
But my view is that it's marvelous. It shows very clearly that this is a coalition. They've brought their partner along to their headquarters and said, come and address us. Nothing more needs to be said.
And on that note, we have with us this morning a former provincial councillor and chairman of the Lanka Coal Company, Mr. Maitri Gunaratna. Good morning, Mr. Gunaratna.
Good morning.
Throwing that question to you. Unique situation where we had President Maithripala Sirisena addressing the UNP party convention yesterday. Has this been done before? What does this reflect? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the UNP is beholden to the President, especially for this victory. And if not for President Maithripala Sirisena walking out of the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration, this change would have never happened. So I think as citizens in this country, all of us need to thank President Maithripala Sirisena for having taken that bold decision at that time, come out of the the dictatorship which was being made, and challenging that dictatorship. And as a result of that, we were able to change a trend which was running towards dictatorship and bringing about democracy in the country today. My personal opinion is that presidential election, if there wasn't a candidate in the caliber of Mr. Maithripala Sirisena, we would have not been able to win that presidential election. So that's where the UNP today has got the benefit of that. And as a result of that, I think the UNP has to accommodate him at every possible opportunity, because today the UNP has even formed this weak government. Thanks to him.
Indeed.
Thanks to him.
And that leads me nicely into this question which I've been dying to ask you this. Right? You've opposed the leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe, the leadership of the United National Party.
Yes.
Long, hard battles, which we've also highlighted from time to time in the press. But is the UNP now in safe hands, or does it still need a new leader?
I feel, if I'm to say it this way, now you take for instance this cabinet, you take for instance this government.
Yeah.
The plum ministries have gone to the coalition partner, the most important ministries. We are dealing with electoral politics in this country, and our party supporters are all dependent on patronage.
When you mean our party supporters?
I still.
You're still a member of the United National Party?
I have been sacked from the United National Party, but I still consider myself a part of the United National Party.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, although the party has, the working committee has sacked me, all the decisions the working committee has always taken have been reversed.
I see.
So I personally hold the opinion that the working committee is not a body which can take a prudent decision when it really matters.
So you're not a paid up member as we speak right now?
No. But my
your mind and your heart is
with the United National Party, and because I have been denied nominations on 2 occasions. I have been invited to contest from various other parties, which I have declined. So I am still working for the interest of the UNP, rank and file of the UNP, the support at grassroots level, because it is he who has kept the UNP going.
So as a member of the, where you are ideologically a member of the United National Party, does it sadden you that the United National Party, after so long and after so many claims about corruption, nepotism, wastage, abuse of power against the Rajapaksas, has been unable to form a majority government?
Precisely. Because for us, that was our fight. Our fight was the UNP was not being organized at grassroots level for us to win an election comfortably. Because I believe that the UNP is such a strong party that if we are properly organized, properly prepared for an election, we do not need the support of anyone to come into power. That is my personal opinion. And even this election, we had 6 months to correct ourselves after the presidential election. During that 6 months, there was nothing which happened at electoral level. There was nothing which happened at electoral level. So it was as a result of that we have showed up with almost about 10 members of parliament, less for a simple majority. So as a party, I mean, what has happened is now all the plum ministries have gone to most of them have gone to the UPFA, and as a result of that we are unable to work. As you said, we'll have to function with only one hand, and one hand tied behind our backs.
So would it be safe then to say that the UNP is still in need of a new leadership?
I would say the UNP needs a leadership which will look more at the rank and file of the party, the village level supporter, because those are the people who have kept this party going.
Mate, I just want to ask you this. I noticed with some amusement in a way that you were appointed the chairman of Lanka Call.
That's right.
I of course presume that Mr. Wickremesinghe had made this appointment.
No.
Because one of the biggest tenders is going on. There's a problem with it.
Precisely.
50 billion plus, I believe.
That's right.
Why is this tender, why is it kind of stuck and therefore you had to go to the spot market to buy the coal for...
No, we had a extremely transparent process whereas Lanka coal was concerned. Having passed our area, that is where the evaluation of the tender and the opening of the bids were done. It goes into the technical evaluation committee, and then there is the SCAP, the cabinet appointed tender committee.
This is the standing committee.
Standing committee. So there are 3 stages of this tender. Now the first stage was done totally transparent. And then thereafter it went to the technical evaluation committee. That I also believe was it was done transparently, and they had recommended the lowest bidder to get the tender. But subsequently what has happened is that has changed, and another person has been given the tender, and that is why this has gone to the Procurement Appeal Board. So since it is with the Procurement Appeal Board and the decision has still not come out, and the need for coal is so great to keep the country going, we have had to go into the spot market. We have floated a spot market tender for 165,000 tons.
Yeah.
That is for the first one and a half months.
Right.
And now we are going for another 330,000 tons, awaiting the decision of the procurement appeal board.
And you need to do this quite quickly because there's only certain times of the year that you can...
Only 6 months of the year. There's a window of 6 months
to
make the delivery. So it's a bit of a tough call, which we have to face. And we hope that the procurement appeal board's decision will come one of these days, so that this whole thing will be regularized thereafter.
And it's interesting to note that Norway, for all its vilification, is now accepted as playing a key role in maintaining the prices and so on.
No, Norway is the second cheapest power generation source in this country. First is the hydropower in this country, and having gone in for coal power, Norway produces the second cheapest source of power.
Yeah.
And when all three turbines are working in Norway, we can supply up to 55 to 60% of the national consumption in power.
At 5, if I remember rightly, because I wrote extensively about this, at around 5 times cheaper than diesel power.
Definitely, definitely.
That's very good. And what have you got to ask?
Speaking of coal and diesel for us, we've also got a story in the island this morning where it says that oil prices continue to plummet in world market. Government to pass benefits to the local consumers. Of course, this is a story that is in the pipeline. I believe it will probably take shape once the ministers are appointed and things kick into play. But it looks somewhat good for the local consumers, the people out there in the public, the market. What are your thoughts about?
I think they should float the oil prices. I think Mr. Wickremesinghe, last time when he was Prime Minister, he brought in a proper formula where when the prices went down, the benefit was given to the consumer, and the prices go up, then so it works both ways.
Right.
So I think if they bring that in right now, that will be good. I mean, when what is good of Mr. Wickremesinghe, I have not been holding it back. I mean, what is good is good. But when it comes to criticism, I mean, this is not vicious criticism.
Right.
This is constructive criticism.
I think my granny used to say, you must give the devil its due.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
I'm not saying that Mr. Wickremesinghe is the devil. You understand that, don't you? What about this story?
Speaking on the lines of giving the devil its due, we have a story where former President Chandrika Kumaratunga has denied former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's allegation about India helping the presidential campaign, which of course saw a huge change in the dynamics of local politics. For us,
look, shall I put it this way? President Kumaratunga is a grandmother. It's about time that she stopped meddling in Sri Lanka and went to England, where she has her other foot, and continued to play the role of granny and accede to her children's request that she not meddle in politics in Sri Lanka and retire somewhat gracefully in the cooler climes of Britain. However, having said all that, it's a bit too much to accept that the Indians, a superpower, sort of continue to ignore Sri Lanka and its politics and so on. Yes, according to President Kumaratunga, they used Viber because apparently Mr. Gotabaya and his team didn't know how to tap it. And that's a little bit, they won the war, but they don't know how to tap? Okay. The fact is, yes, they did use Viber. We've been told this story by people who were involved at the time. But they obviously also use satellite phones. And anyway, they used to call her satellite, didn't they? So, you know.
Speaking of India's influence in local politics, we have Prime Minister Wickremesinghe, who will be visiting India soon. And here I'm referring to a story in the Ceylon today, where it says that Prime Minister Wickremesinghe will be in New Delhi on a 3-day visit. And of course, on his agenda, we'll be meeting with Indian leaders, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, etc. How would that look in terms of regional ties and establishing?
I think we've always maintained that Mr. Wickremesinghe has a pretty good relationship with India, and also in the south. Various business people, Indian business people whom we've spoken to, have told us that they are encouraged by Ranil Wickremesinghe being the Prime Minister. So, you know, so good for Sri Lanka. Mr. Wickremesinghe has this long love affair with India, and we hope it will work to the benefit of our country.
Also, Faraz, we've got a story here in the Ceylon today about the Colombo Mayor making or passing an order to remove all cutouts of the President that suddenly sprung up over the past few days. This is probably in keeping with the good governance mandate.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts about
well,
cutouts?
you know, when we travel abroad, okay, when we land at Heathrow, for example, or Manchester, wherever, we are not greeted by huge posters of Her Majesty the Queen, or of David Cameron, or of Tony Blair, or whoever. There's no need for all these cutouts.
No, I think even the President had very, very clearly, when he was after he was elected, had said all his cutouts have to come out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to go forward.
Indeed, yes. There's no real need for this, is there? It sounds really awful. You know, the minute you land, there's this huge cutout of our president, and it's like I think only dictatorships have this sort of thing.
Definitely.
You know, we might find this in North Korea or somewhere like that. You know, it's forced down you. But over here, no need.
So in short, you're saying that it's no longer the cutout era.
No,
we're seeing an end to it, a new dawning of sorts for us. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But it's going to be very interesting because for all Mr. Wickremesinghe's wily ways, he has not been able to get the majority to rule on his own, and therefore, very necessarily, he's going to have to be subservient to the
powers that be.
And this is clearly, I think that somebody said this on our show as well. They say that this is the Maithripala Sirisena government. And that's quite true in a way, isn't it?
Definitely. He will be calling the shots even in this government, and even I think after appointing the cabinet, he has been very specific when he said that you cannot try to make money and don't even have the thought of doing that.
Right.
So I think that's a very, very good situation to be in, and I'm told that even this the deputy ministers for the cabinet. Now, if the cabinet minister is from the PA, the deputy minister is going to be from the UNP.
Oh, I see.
So there is going to be some kind of checks and balances that way also, which are very good things.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Which are very good things. But as you said, again, it makes it very difficult for everyone to work.
Yes, because
there is committees on one side, then there is a deputy minister from another party.
Mr. Gunath, I'm going to interrupt you there because checks and balances, the minister from one party, deputy minister from one party, national government, coalition government, call it what you may, but at the end of the day, how do you see the country moving forward in such a scenario?
No, I think this is a very, very positive situation we have come into. Extremely positive. Now it is the will and the commitment to make it a success. We have to have the will. Everyone, all the stakeholders in this must have the will to make it a success. And if they do that, I mean, we will go forward as a nation. That is what we are interested in. We don't want to go in the same path we went last year. Now it is very clear. People have spoken. People have given a mandate. So we need to go take a new path. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But every stakeholder has to play a genuine game to see that this country is a better place for all of us to live in.
Mr. Gunath, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Newsline for us. As customary, what are your words of wisdom for Monday morning?
I think I want to dedicate this thought of the day to Dr. Harsha De Silva, who scored admirably well in the election and wasn't in the list of cabinet ministers and is now being considered for some sort of deputy ministerial role. However, a dedication to him then. A leaf which falls from a tree goes wherever the wind takes it. Be like the wind to drive others, but not like the leaf to be driven by others. On that note, thank you and good morning.
Good morning.